So we're in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And you're probably wondering, are there hoods in Sioux Falls, South Dakota? And the answer to that would be no, there are not. Not in the way that people think of hoods anyway. So there's not a whole lot of even crime and stuff here. It's actually a relatively safe city for its size. It's got about 200,000 people, a little less than that, maybe 190 something. And but it's a very fast growing city. So I kind of wanted to take a drive through it while I was here and just see what the bad parts of the city look like. It's growing, and likely in a few years it probably will be much worse than it is right now. And we're up right now in the northern section, which is just south of the 90 freeway and right by the airport. The airport will be just to our south right up here. And this is one of the worst areas. I had gone through and looked at some of the homicides. They don't have a lot of homicides every year, but I had kind of plotted them out on a map of the city to see where they were. And then I used some of those heat graphs that show where the crime is the highest. And this appeared to be the worst area, was this area up here by the airport, for whatever reason. But the city doesn't have a lot of homicides. Actually, the entire state of South Dakota doesn't have a lot of homicides at all. In 2022, they had at least 5 here that I could find. 2021 also had 5. Oh, I don't want the road. 2021 also had 5. 2020 that set a record with 13. And 2020, we all know every city had high homicides in 2020 practically. And 2019 they had 7. 2018 they had 8, and in 2017 they had 10. So they stick around that 5 to 10 range for the most part. Mostly what you see in Sioux Falls is just a lot of thefts that make areas bad. That's the majority of the crimes that they have. Not that there aren't other crimes, but that's the majority of the crimes are thefts, car thefts, burglaries, stuff like that. Across the big Sioux River here, all frozen over still. And one of the reasons I think that their homicide rate is as low as it is that, yeah, there's the airport is to our left. One of the reasons their homicide rate is as low as it is, I think, is because their clearance rate is nearly 100%. Last year, years prior to last year, it was 100%, and last year it was only 87%, so they didn't solve one of the homicides probably, but they solved all the other ones. And this isn't even the city. This was supposed to be the bad area. It doesn't even look like there's houses and stuff up here. Hay bales. The airport is still probably airport grounds up to the left. Harley Davidson store. But this city is growing very rapidly. And if they already have crime in some of these areas, although none of this looks even bad right now. So that whole area that I just drove through, there was nothing there. That was all the area right around the airport that showed on those heat maps, for crime heat maps that I looked at, that showed that to be the worst area in Sioux Falls. And there's really nothing up there. And all I can think is maybe there's a lot of activity around the hotels by the airport or something that we didn't actually see. Because there was nothing even up there at all. And this city, I mean, there's an actual downtown to it. That's where my hotel's at. And I walked out this morning to do this video. I left the hotel and I walked out and you could smell cow manure in the air, which I found odd. I get that you're in South Dakota, but when you're in like the largest city in South Dakota, you don't expect to have it smell like a farm in the air. So either the wind was blowing from the right direction or it just always smells like that. I don't know, but I found that odd. But this is really, I mean, this is obviously what a really safe city looks like, because there's nothing, I mean, there's not even hardly any buildings. Although there is once you get down here further, but that was supposed to be the worst area. So we'll see what happens as we get further in and see what some of this stuff looks like. But I always like to drive through these areas to see the nice areas and to see the bad areas of cities, because you can't really see a city from, if you know, like I come to these places for work, and you can't really see a city that much just from your hotel to the, you know, however far you're driving to actually work. So this school on the right here that we're driving by right now, this is the All City Elementary School. And this school gets a 7 out of 10 great schools rating. And this school is 92% white, and they get 65% of the kids can do math at grade level and 69% at reading. And that's way above the state average of, that's 41% for math and 50% reading. And their test scores, see, this is where some of these grade school ratings get a little weird, because their test scores, they get a 9 out of 10 for test scores, but they get a 5 out of 10 for equity, meaning equal opportunity does not render equal results. So the school gets knocked because certain groups of students aren't doing well when other students are. So that school is actually one of the better elementary schools in the area. I'll put those stats on the screen as well, so you can take a better look at them, and you know, not just what I was saying. But that's one of the better schools in the area, and it's probably actually better than what it even sounded like with what I said. Okay, now there's at least a little more stuff up in this area. Some kind of sporting complex. I don't think they have any major sports teams. I don't even know if they have any. We drove past the South Dakota State Sioux Falls, and it was small. I doubt they even have a sports team here. Maybe they do. But there isn't much here. that northern part, it showed this was the worst, some of the worst parts of town. And all I can think, there's a lot of hotels. It's a little industrial. It must just be people coming to visit or something, because there's not a lot of homes or anything up in this area. Not even a lot of businesses for that matter. Now here, okay, this makes sense. There have been in the they don't, like I said, I read off how many homicides they have. They don't have very many homicides. But in the last, I think it was going back like 5 years, there were 2 in this area. But that makes sense because there's a lot of apartment buildings here. And again, the snow kind of makes things look a little nicer, even though it's brown and dirty. Yeah, I could see this being a higher crime area. The houses aren't really all that nice, and I think in the summer, if you were driving through here, it wouldn't look as good as it does right now. Yeah, that house is really bad. Yeah, there's graffiti. Okay, now we're hitting the bad areas. That place really needs a makeover. Yeah, there's some graffiti. I didn't actually even expect to see any graffiti down here. This place is just kind of dumpy. I mean, this is still part of the bad area, or what came up as bad areas. It's just kind of dumpy. So this school we're driving past is the Terry Redlin Elementary School. Actually turn through here. And this school is extremely diverse. Extremely diverse. It gets a 3 out of 10 great schools rating. It is 31% white, 23% Hispanic, 22% black, and 10% Native. And 22% of the students can read at grade level. That's the school there. 22% can do math at grade level, 26% can read at grade level. It gets a 2 out of 10 for test scores, but their equity gets a 3 out of 10. And it's well below the state averages. So when they tell you diversity is a strength, they are lying to you. And a school like this, we'll just drive all the way around it. And a school like this is what proves it. The other school was much better. This school extremely diverse and is got to be one of the worst schools in the state or in the city. Although it's also in, well, the other school was in a bad area too. This is in a bad area. But when it comes to some of that stuff, diversity is not a strength. And they keep trying to push that onto us. But when you look at the school stats, when the schools and even the cities, if you look at cities that are extremely diverse, like Oakland, California is one of the most diverse cities in America. I think it ranks like top 5 as most diverse, and it's not a safe city. The little casino, that's not very big. And you have schools that are extremely diverse, and they are not good schools. But they keep wanting to tell us that this diversity is a strength when it comes to stuff, but it just, I don't know, statistically, it just doesn't show, the statistics don't prove that. That's why I wanted to show those 2 elementary schools. The one that wasn't diverse was a good school, far above the state average. The one that was extremely diverse, that we just drove past, extremely diverse, and it's well below the state averages. And that's common throughout the country. But here, like anywhere in America now, that good school, they were in the 60 to 70% range as far as kids that could read and do math. So even schools that are considered good right now, they're considered good because they're better than the state averages of 50%. They're not really, if you really think about it, I don't consider 70% of the students being able to read at grade level. I wouldn't consider that personally a success story. So this area here isn't one of the bad areas. I had more bad areas I wanted to go through, but they're not very, I mean, they're not really that bad, so they don't look that bad. This is one of the better areas. And I'm just gonna head back towards downtown and drive through downtown a little bit just to get a look at what the downtown looks like. And what I was saying earlier about the diversity in the schools, this city, Sioux Falls, as well as the entire state of South Dakota, is not very diverse. It's like 80, I think the city of Sioux Falls is 85% white, and I think the state as a whole is around the same, like 85 or 86% white. So it's mostly a white city and state. There's a lot of Native Americans that live here, but very few of any other race. I think in the city, I looked it up, I think in the city of Sioux Falls, there really wasn't hard. I mean, I don't remember what the percent. I'll put what it is up on the screen because I don't want to quote it wrong. But there was very few people of any other race that wasn't white in Sioux Falls. So now this is just going to be a little quick drive through some of the downtown area. This has probably been a super boring video. There's not a lot here. I mean, even in the downtown, there isn't that much of it. But it's a pretty good sized city, and it's growing, I think, at like 2% a year or something ridiculously high like that. It's growing very rapidly, and it's probably just a matter of time till it is actually, you know, like every big city. I mean, it's almost 200,000 people, so that's a pretty good sized city. And it's growing, like I said, it's growing really fast, and it's been on a steady growth. So hopefully it stays a safe city. Hopefully the police here continue with their 100% clearance rates with the homicides, and keep things, you know, down to a minimum as far as the murders go. Because this is the largest city in the state, but it ranks maybe as the 5th most dangerous. It's definitely not, it's 5th or maybe even a little lower than that. The Rapid City is by far the worst city when it comes to like violence. Rapid City's easily the worst. And there's a few smaller towns that, you know, they just have enough incident. They don't have a lot of people, so the incidents, you know, raise their, you know, crime rates high just with a few incidents. But yeah, this isn't even a very big downtown. I can't even tell if we're... All right, well, I wanted to do a video on this because I just wanted to see what it all looked like now, and, you know, what things are going to look like in a few years. I come here every few years. I come here. I came here during the lockdowns of 2020. Drove hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles to come to South Dakota, to come to Sioux Falls, because I wanted to feel like a normal person in the middle of those lockdowns. So I drove all the way here just to see a movie. And there was a part of me that thought that I could almost move here just because I liked the fact that they were still open. But then when I was here, I realized there was a 0 chance I was going to move here. But yeah, I drove all the way here, hundreds and hundreds of miles, just to see a movie because it was the only place open. And it was Back to the Future, that movie from I think it's from the 80s. And they didn't have new movies, so you just saw whatever they had. But all right, well, there isn't much actually to show here anymore, so we'll just end this video here. But thanks for watching. Hopefully the next time I do one of these city videos, it'll be better. I need to do some of these because most of my videos don't get monetized, and these types of videos do. So I'm going to do these kinds of videos as well as the regular ones, because hopefully these do well enough to make up for all the ones that can't be monetized, because, you know, they talk about a mass shooting or something that YouTube doesn't like. Anyway, thanks for watching.